Good morning. This is the time and place for the zoning administrator's hearing for November 12, 2008. My name is Edith Fuentes, and I will be conducting the hearing as hearing officer. We have 4 cases today, and relevant exhibits are posted on the panels located directly behind me. Let me just quickly go through our hearing procedure. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a variance shall be granted if 4 required findings are present. 1, that the strict application of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. 2, that there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. 3, that the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. And 4, that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. Also under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a conditional use permit shall be granted if 4 required findings are present. 1, that the proposed use will be consistent with the elements and objectives of the general plan. 2, that the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, the general welfare, or the environment. 3, that the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property. And 4, that adequate public and private facilities will be provided for the use. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, then the zoning administrator can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will read a description of the application or the request, and then read reports received from other departments or other letters or communications from interested parties. The applicant will be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and any interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak. Again, clearly stating both name and address within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to testimonies given by preceding speakers within a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. I would like to emphasize that the date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, The decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from our Building and Safety Section, Permit Services Center, located on the same floor of this building. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of these speaker forms, which have been provided by the front door, and submit it to our planning assistant. I would like to also inform everyone that the official proceedings of the zoning administrator's hearing are recorded on tape as part of public record. Our first case is variance 2008-027. Property is located at 331 through 343 West Duran Street. Applicant is Catherine Boland, care of HHP DFO. And this is an application for standards variance to allow the development of a 60-unit affordable home ownership project with 4 stories, where a maximum of 3 stories are permitted, located at 331 to 343 West Duran Street in the R1250 high-density residential zone, described as lots 85 through 88, tract number 253. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments we received. From our Glendale Water and Power Electrical Engineering, developer is responsible to pay the full cost of providing services to the project and to contact them regarding electrical services. And if there are additional street lighting in the alley that's going to be required, the developer is also to work with them as far as the lighting. Development must maintain minimum horizontal safety clearance from existing overhead power lines in the alley. And if there are any relocation of existing water and power facilities as a result of this project, they shall be at the expense of the developer. From Fire Prevention Bureau, code requirements will be fire sprinklers and fire alarm, and they will all require permits. I just want to make a note from, I think, Police Department. They have some suggestions regarding preferential parking. I tend to... From our water department, they have some notes regarding individual water meters. Backflow prevention devices will be required. And any service or fire line connections not needed for the project, they will require you to permanently abandon or disconnect them. And to double check with fire department if existing fire flow is adequate. And I have a long list of code requirements from engineering section, but you can get a copy of them just to make sure. It's about track map, survey monuments, sewer capacity, shoring permit, grading and drainage permit, method of discharge, street improvements, dual sump pump design, and NPDES requirements. We also have a long list of environmental information that's accompanying this. So, any questions regarding environmental, I will defer to our environmental planner, Mr. Eric Kraus. Okay, so to present the case, I have a Charles Loveman or a Jingbo Lu. Whoever's going to present, Catherine Boland, just come up here and 15 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Catherine Boland. I'm with Heritage Housing Partners. We are the sole member of HHP DFO LLC, the current owner applicant of 331 to 343 West Durand Street. Also presenting with me will be Jingbo Lu with J. Lu Architect, who is the architect behind the plans, and then Charles Loveman, who's our executive director, is also in the audience. I just wanted to start out by kind of describing our project. It is called Durand Gardens. It's a 60-unit affordable homeownership project. As you can see, it's there on the screen. And if you don't mind, can I walk over there and...
you can come up here, okay. Or, you know.
Well, let's try doing it this way, I guess. Okay. So it's essentially this 300...
I think this is the one on screen.
You want to use this one? Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So it's essentially this large square here that you'll see here, 331 West Durand Street, Pioneer Alley in the back, and then to this corner here, 343 West Durand Street. Right here are 3 existing single-family residences that have been there since the early 1920s. This is a very deep 300-foot lot. This is an existing surface parking lot with asphalt, and this is just kind of an open half-acre space. And security fences behind this area, and a security fence is currently behind this area. The 3 existing homes will stay exactly where they are, and in back of them will be built 57 newly constructed sort of craftsman California bungalow style condominiums, which will be sold to first-time low, moderate, and workforce level home buyers. Currently have units ranging between 1-bedroom and 4-bedroom units. And let's see what else. We'll have open space. Basically, in back of the 3 historic homes will be 2 existing or 2 newly constructed condominium buildings, each housing 8 units within the 2 structures. And then in back of it will be the remaining units here with interior courtyard spaces opening up for the homeowners and their units. Underneath the site plan will be a subterranean parking garage, and it will basically be in this area, in back of the 3 historic homes, leaving this public open space.
You have your proposed site plan over here, right?
Right.
Do you want to walk
Sure.
up here and
Yeah.
just, you know?
So So I'll just kind of recap. So we have the three existing homes which are fronting on Durand Street right now. This is currently an open space, and this will remain an open space to the public. And then in back of the open space and in back of these three historic homes will be the newly constructed 57 condominium units, and then underneath those 57 units will be a subterranean parking garage, about 40,000 square feet, which will house all of the parking for the homeowners, including the homeowners in the three homes in front. This will all be one large condominium plan and subdivided into one large unit, or one large condominium project. The variance request is because it is such a deep lot, and because it has an odd slope, and because we're working with the three existing homes, which we want to remain intact as our integral part of the entire project, and we also want to make sure we maintain this half-acre open space, not only for the project but also the surrounding neighbors, we have to basically work with a sloping site. So it slopes this way and it slopes this way, and we have some topographic to show how the slope works. But essentially, because of the way the garage is built, and because of the slope, there is a very small portion of the garage which is sticking up above the ground level. And the portion that is sticking up essentially is causing it to be defined as a story in terms of the current municipal code.
Okay.
The entrance to the garage will be down Pioneer Alley in this corner of the property, the northwest corner. And it's this small portion that is sticking up that's causing the variance. It's not as if there are going to be a large 4-story building next to existing 2-story apartment buildings. It's just going to be essentially 3 stories. It's just this one little partition which is being called a story that's causing the problem.
You can go back there if you want.
Okay. The other thing I just wanted to point out is this neighborhood is zoned R1250, and right down the street is the Central Business District. So it's an eclectic mix. You have the Unum Provident building kind of towering over it at night. Along Pioneer Drive, which is on the other side of Pioneer Alley, you have the 2 very large condominium projects which, rise about, I think, 25, 26 stories in the air. You have a Burger King on the corner of Durand and Central, and then you have sort of BC 60, 70 style 2, 3-story apartment buildings across the street. And then you have the Columbus Elementary School on the corner of Durand and Columbus Street. I think what I'd like to do now is just kind of show you visually how the plan is looking. And this kind of shows the various slopes, and you can see here there's a 7-foot grade from this corner to this, and then basically same with here along this contour line. You have a 3-foot difference, but you have 300 feet from here to here. And so we're basically constrained by the actual slope of the site, the depth of the site, and the 3 existing homes, and maintaining this public open space. Half-acre. The other thing is the way that the City of Glendale is requiring us to measure to determine whether or not that portion of the garage that's sticking up is a story is because we're measuring from Durand Street, the curb of Durand, to the back of Pioneer Alley. And again, that's a very deep lot, and so with the slope being combined with it, we're sort of at this. If we were to have the garage entrance go off Durand Street, this wouldn't be a problem. But because we're basically maintaining those 3 existing homes along Durand, and we're working with the slope of the site, and we're having the entrance go across the alleyway, we have that small piece that's sticking up that's being triggered a story. Do you want to add anything, Jingbo? Did you want me to go through the 4 findings? Okay.
You have to, anyway.
Okay. Number 1, the strict application of the provision of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. The project involves the development of a 60-unit affordable homeownership project that includes the rehabilitation of 3 existing single-family dwelling units and the construction of 57 new condominium units. The project site is located at 331 to 343 West Durand Street on the 5 adjoining lots totaling approximately 800 square feet, or just under 2 acres. The project is also going to include the development of an approximate half-acre open space on the southeast corner of the property. The site has a gradual slope which causes a portion of the subterranean garage to extend slightly and slightly more than 3 feet above ground level, causing the garage to be considered a story for zoning purposes. If the ordinance is strictly adhered to, the project would be negatively affected by the change in the architectural drawings, which would detract from the overall aesthetic of the design in keeping with the surrounding neighborhood. What is unique about the property involved or the intended use or development of the property as it's related to the variance request? Duran Gardens is a 60-unit affordable homeownership project. The project was designed in keeping with the character of the surrounding neighborhood as well as the existing 3 single-family homes on the site. The subterranean garage is an integral portion of the site design in its efficient use of the available land as well as ease of use for the homeowners and surrounding neighbors. The slight slope on the site has caused a portion of the east portion of the garage to extend just over 3 feet above ground level, which causes the garage to be considered a story in the strict adherence of the Glendale Municipal Code. The unique design of the project, combined with the affordability aspect of the project, make it an important addition to this neighborhood. And then I'd like to add to this that the site is unusual because we're working with the 3 existing homes, which are already set back from the curb at Duran Street. And then we also want to really maximize the public open space of a half-acre lot. So in order to basically make sure that all of these things work within the neighborhood and work for the new home buyers, it was important to make the entrance of the garage back on Pioneer Alley and work with the existing slope issues. Number 3, why will granting the variance not be detrimental to the public welfare? The variance request is made due to a technicality. The subterranean garage is primarily below ground level with the exception of the east side, which extends slightly above ground level due to the existing slope on the site. A typical story for ordinance purposes implies that the project would exceed acceptable height standards and thereby potentially take away from the aesthetic and or potential enjoyment of the adjacent and surrounding neighbors and neighborhood. The slight extension of the garage above ground level does not affect the immediate neighbors or the neighborhood, and that it is not blocking views or creating a nuisance. And I just want to remind you that that surrounding neighborhood is already pretty much surrounded by very large skyscrapers. And our project would basically, I have some different perspectives to show you the height differential if you'd like to see it, but in no way is it going to be a imposing project on the existing homes that are in the surrounding area. Number 4, why will granting the variance be keeping in the objectives of the applicable regulations? The current regulations were written to prohibit tall, imposing, and aesthetically displeasing properties from being built in typical residential neighborhoods, which would detract and cause harm to existing homeowners and residents. Duran Gardens is in keeping with the overall height of nearby residences, blending nicely with the existing single-family homes, which can be found throughout the neighborhood. As the height extension is not material in terms of the existing ordinance requirements, it will not pose an undue hardship or visual distraction from the existing residential units along Duran Street and the properties along Pioneer Avenue. This makes sure that we're in keeping with the original intent of the ordinance and the regulation.
Okay. Just an additional information. I forgot, I skipped over this one comment from our Community Development and Housing Division. They are basically supporting this application for approval of the EIF and density bonus parking concessions because the developer will be working in partnership with the City of Glendale Housing Authority to construct a 60-unit home ownership condominium project, of which 40 units will be affordable housing, and these are for low to moderate income first-time home buyers.
Correct.
So I just want to put that on the record.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And thank you to Eric, too, for
Yes,
superb planner.
fine. I will. Okay. Jingbo Lu.
Good morning. I'm just here to add additional descriptions of the designs. I am the architect for this project. Our firm is J. Lu Architect. It's at 26 East Colorado Boulevard, Pasadena. Let me bring one of the diagram to demonstrate the height of the buildings.
Why don't you stay on this side? No, I mean, put the board there and you move yourself on this end, so you'll be closer to the microphone. That's what I'm trying to do.
This is a section cut right through the middle of the project site. This side is a Pioneer Alley, and on the other side is a Dorian. And I draw a profile of the buildings to show you what is the existing building like. This is the existing one-story bungalows, and this is the one we proposed to build next to the existing bungalows, which is a two-story buildings. And to behind these two-story buildings, we have 2.5 stories, 2.5 plus 3 stories. I draw a existing side slope lines just to show where this 36-foot line, which is the zoning height limits required, and zoning also allowed us to exceed that limits by 5 feet if the roof slope is more than 3 to 12 deep. So you can see overall the development is less than 36 feet in the majority of our areas, except one little corner might exceed 36 feet by 6 inches to 1 foot, which is also under the zoning height limits. So this is not a 4-story buildings, and this is a 2-story to 3-story buildings. The 3-story is really housed under a deeply pitched roof, which is from the street you look at it, it's really a 2-story building plus an attic. So this is where the design coming from, and this design is to blend this project into the neighborhood, not to impose a large massing to the surrounding neighborhood, and to respect the existing Craftsman bungalow building.
Okay. Have you gone before design review board for conceptual or preliminary approval?
We had
When did that?
July, and then we go to design review in December.
Okay. Okay.
And here again, to show if I draw a horizontal line, the slope difference from this corner to the front street is already 4 feet. So that's where we exceed the 3 feet limits for a subterranean parking garage to place a parking garage in the back.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to? That's it. Charles Loveman.
Good morning, Charles Loveman, Heritage Housing Partners. I just wanted to reiterate one last time sort of the technical nature of why this is being counted as a story. The city is measuring the height of the garage from this corner, which is 3 feet below this portion of the site. If the height of the garage was measured from where the entry is, it would not be counted as a story under the zoning code. It's simply that they're measuring from 300 feet away, from here to here. They're taking their data point from here and measuring across. And at that point, using this as the flat, as the horizontal, we're about 6 inches or so above the 3 feet, which makes it a story. But if you look at the elevation clearly, this is a 3-story building. The garage and the patio on top of the garage and the unit is at grade at that corner. So it's just how it's measured in terms of the 300 feet. And again, to repeat one of the variance findings, we want to put the garage in the back of the lot because we want to preserve the 3 historic homes, and we are working with the Parks Department to create an open space that would be publicly accessible. So we don't, and if we put the garage here, we wouldn't be able to grow plant material. So we're pushing the garage back, but then that necessitates the way it's measured and creates the 3-foot 6-inch problem. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Gail Marco.
Morning. Gail
Can you
Marco.
pull the microphone a little bit. Yeah, thank you.
Gail Marco, 334 West Duran Street. My concern is mainly parking. I did not realize until this morning that the entrance would be from the back, which I'm really happy about. but I'm still wondering how it's going to impact us on Durand Street. All of those units on Durand Street are older units, including our building, which only has 6 parking spaces for 6 units, which of course at the time was acceptable and families weren't quite as large, nor had as many vehicles. We also have to contend with parking from the people that work on Central, right there where Durand ends in those office buildings, the 520 building and the 500 building. They come over and they park on our street, which impedes our parking during the day. Then, of course, we have street cleaning days. They informed me when I was talking with them earlier that there's going to be 117 parking spaces for 120 units. Now, being realistic, you know that most of these families are going to have 2 cars, and if you're going to have as high as 4-bedroom units, that's going to generate anywhere from 3 to 4 cars because they're not all going to be tiny children that don't drive. So I want to know what's going to happen with our parking. Is there going to be something done like in other parts of the city where residents will get permits for preferential parking and that street will still belong pretty much to Durand Street? If it's going to be an open public park and people are going to come there, where are they going to park when they come to visit the park? Is the smoking ban that Glendale has recently passed going to be in effect in that park? Is there going to be no smoking in that park? Also, who will oversee this whole development? Will there be a homeowners association, and how will they be governed as far as keeping up their trash, keeping up the appearances, and everything of the whole project? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you made some notes so you could respond. Okay. Eric, anything else that I should be aware of as far as environmental is concerned and all this parking concession?
Thank you, Ms. Fuentes. The parking, essentially, the concession they're being granted is something that's under state density bonus law.
Okay.
It's something that we couldn't even tell them they couldn't do it anyway. I mean, we have to allow them to provide to reduce parking under state law. Mm-hmm. And the parking is actually, it's a 60-unit project, and they're providing 117 spaces. So it's actually not 120 units, but 60. So
okay.
The environmental found that there's no impact associated with that, but the only thing in the environmental is just that they maintain the 3 buildings consistent with state requirements for historic buildings.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else here who would like to speak in support or in opposition to this application? Seeing none, closing comments? 5 minutes, James.
I just wanted to respond.
Just give me your name for the record, please.
Charles Loveman, HHP DFO. I just wanted to respond to the comment from the neighbor across the street about the parking. So to be clear about how we got to 117 spaces for 60 units, we are providing 1.5 spaces for the 1-bedroom units, 2 spaces per unit for the 2 and 3 bedroom units, and 3 spaces per unit for the 4-bedroom units. Out of the total 60 units, there are 8 1-bedroom units and 31 2-bedroom units. It is our experience, and again, this is an affordable homeownership project. Our prices for the 1-bedroom units are as low as $96,000 per unit, and it goes up to about $250,000 for the moderate income units. Our experience is that 1-bedroom buyers are typically single-person households, not 2-person households, and they have 1 car. And probably 40% of our 2-bedroom buyers are also single-person households who have 1 car. So in our experience with other projects, we build to code in terms of parking, and there are always additional spaces because typically we have a lot of 1-person households. And also because of the affordability levels, families that are in those income ranges typically would have 1 car. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Want to get up also and address the neighbor across the street?
Give me your name.
It's
for the-
Catherine Boland, Boland, with Heritage Housing Partners. I think your comment had to do primarily with how would the condominium project be run? It will be run by HOA. It's 100% home ownership.
You're going to have to address me.
Okay, I'm sorry. 100% home ownership. It will be run by an HOA once it's completed. The public open space will be built to whatever requirements are with the city of Glendale. As Charles mentioned, we're very, we know the parking, we know kind of our unit mix, and I will also say that we have just recently completed a project in Pasadena, which is kind of a sister project of this, if anybody's been following the process of it. But it's called Fair Oaks Court. We recently won the national award for the best home ownership project in the country. And Fair Oaks Court was designed by Jingbolu Architects. We know that the neighbors, we went through a lot with the neighbors in the city of Pasadena. We know that this is a very positive project, and we're confident that it will blend nicely and address our neighbors' concerns.
Okay, and I think in addition to what our environmental planner mentioned, the environmental studies showed that there's not going to be a lot of negative impacts within the neighborhood. They are providing parking enough. As a matter of fact, parking is not an issue for me to consider this morning. There is parking concession that's under the state law, and we as a city agency we're not even authorized to make a determination or anything on that, but that falls under the state law. We make it happen. This is a law to moderate income housing facility, and we're going to make sure that they comply with all of the requirements as far as building, zoning, fire code, open space requirements, and those type of things. Unfortunately, I cannot expect you to solve existing problems within the neighborhood, but we are trying to avoid them from contributing more negative impacts within the neighborhood. And certainly, if your neighbor here has other questions, please make yourselves available to talk to her or discuss your concerns with her. Okay?
Thank you very much.
And with that, I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Eric. That's the next one. Our next case is variance 2008-030. Location is 1700 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. Applicant is Gopi Chandran, RMO. Shanaz, can you just tell them to go outside? You can discuss it outside if you like. This is an application for standards and setback variance to allow the operation of unscreened mechanical equipment in the interior setback, to remove required landscaping and a required 24-inch box tree, and the proposed equipment is used for on-site remediation at a gas station located at 1700 West Glen Oaks Boulevard in the C1 Neighborhood Commercial Zone, described as lots 96 through 98, track number 4516. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments we have. I have a list of requirements or suggested comments and code requirements from our Fire Prevention Bureau. It looks like they sent a comment first and then sent another inter-office memo with that. Okay. So Patrick, and no, I just want to make sure you're aware of these comments that we have on file, and you're able to. And I'm going to ask one of you it doesn't matter who. I need one speaker card per each speaker, so one of you needs to. From our neighborhood services, the project already includes minimal landscaping and setbacks, and granting this variance would further exacerbate these issues. Okay, that's the comment I have. Who's going to present the case, Patrick or Mindy? Patrick? Come on down.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Patrick McCullough. I'm with ETIC Engineering. Address is 898 North Fair Oaks Avenue, Pasadena. And my client is ExxonMobil. This is essentially a former ExxonMobil gas station, which is being redeveloped as a, I guess, an office development with a parking structure. Essentially, the soil beneath the ground has been impacted by the former tanks that were on this piece of property, and ExxonMobil is being mandated by the Regional Water Quality Control Board to clean up that soil. Therefore, the site has been set forward to undergo soil vapor extraction by this remediation unit, which we want to place in this setback area in kind of the northwestern area of the property. And the variance, essentially, we have stubbed up piping that goes to the extraction wells, which are scattered throughout the property. And the redevelopment of this property is just about complete. And I think we are looking at taking up a 6.5 by 15-foot area in that corner. And it's a temporary system that would be probably back in that area 2 years or less. And it's our intent that once the project is over, we would remove our concrete pad, our remedial equipment, and then replace the landscaping that would be appropriate back there in that corner.
So basically, just for clarification purposes, what you're telling me is this is a temporary situation?
Correct.
And like if part of the condition is that everything should be removed within 2 years or 2.5 years, that's enough time to give
that would likely be enough time. I would like to state that it would be based on the regulatory agency, the Regional Water Quality Control Board, closing the case before we remove the equipment. But we feel that remediation time would be probably a year or less. Then there would be a period of
Right, like another year.
Yeah, another year of post-remedial monitoring, and then once a closure letter is received,
just to make sure everything's working
well. That's right. Then we would remove everything.
How did this happen? Someone just started working on the whole thing and not check where, or is this like an existing condition that?
Yeah, well, it's an existing condition that was there prior to the redevelopment of this site. I think the underground improvements from the gas station were removed many years ago,
right.
And it was an open case. And this project actually has been stalled out based on the redevelopment. We had to wait for the property owner to redevelop their site, and we've been working with the architects to try to find the best location to put this remediation system so we can move forward and complete our project.
So how far away are you from completing the entire project?
Essentially, the project can't begin until we get the variance and get the remediation system in. We're all ready to go, and...
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
What's the time
Well,
frame that you have?
once, let's say, a variance was granted, we could get the equipment and the pad in there within 3 months or so, and then start remediating the site.
Okay. Anything else?
I can't think of any. I'll answer any questions you might have.
I was going to ask you to go through the 4 findings, but you've kind of basically given me the reason why it's happened, or it has to be this way.
It seems pretty straightforward, but...
Anything else, Milka, that I should know about this case?
No, basically, when the project initially started, it has an environmental initial study on file, and I believe it's a mitigated negative declaration, and one of the conditions or mitigations were to have remediation of the site in compliance with state codes and applicable agencies. We have been going back and forth as to the proper location for this mechanical equipment, because as noted on the bottom plan on the back panel, it's pretty large, and it wasn't able to be fully screened, and that's why putting it on the roof deck of a parking structure, which was the initial location, wasn't going to be feasible because they couldn't. I believe it's a vent that's pretty high.
Yeah, that's right. Part of the remediation process is heating the air as it comes out, and so there are temperature issues with the equipment, and that has to be vented through a
It has
stack,
to be
so-
done. So
Yes, it has to be done. so.
That's the bottom line. It has to be done to clean the site and to,
Correct.
do whatever the state and the other agencies are requiring you to do.
Right.
So, anything else, Milka? So
That's
we have a
pretty
neg
much.
deck.
Yeah, we do have a neg deck on mitigated neg deck on file.
As far as noise is concerned, how about noise level? Did we look into that too?
No, we did not.
Yeah,
How
the equipment itself is
silent
probably
is it?
running around 65 to 70 decibels without sound abatement.
Okay.
We do plan to put a sound abatement package
Some
over the
type
blower.
of screening around it?
Yeah, we are aware that there is a apartment complex right next to the piece of property, and we certainly want to be wary of those noise issues. So we will be taking correct engineering measures to bring those
Yeah,
levels down.
Do you have a proposed type of screening, or what are you going to be putting up there as far as screening, just to kind of mitigate the noise?
We would, essentially, the portion of the equipment that's making the noise is a blower package, and we would be essentially creating a small little doghouse almost over that blower that would have sound abatement, this foam on the inside that should bring those noise levels down to what we think would be reasonable levels.
Okay.
I would also like to add that this piece of equipment does have the flexibility to be placed on a timer if noise does become an issue
That was the
later
other
on
thing,
down the
yeah.
road. With the residents, we could put this thing on a timer where maybe it only runs during the daytime and then would
Exactly.
go off at the nighttime. So.
Right.
But that would extend the project also if we went that
I
route.
know.
So.
The thing is, we have to consider the residential.
Sure, absolutely.
But if I'm not going to have good sleep for 2 years...
We don't want that, so.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to be responsible for that. So I think I would like to know it's not necessarily have to be the screening, but anything that you can submit to your case planner as far as proposed or similar type of screening that you're going to put around the blower, or just to
Yeah, we can certainly provide that, and...
And also,
As far as the noise level ordinance for the city, what are those? What's the threshold, or is there an established threshold?
yes, we do. And as a matter of fact, you can get a copy of our noise ordinance. It gives you the decibels and all that. And we also have like from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Threshold,
Restricted. Sure.
time restrictions.
Okay.
Even cutting of the grass or construction. But depending on the urgency of the need,
Yeah.
the need, our Public Works Department may have some leeway on the hours.
Yeah, I will say one other thing where the setback is, I think it's kind of boxed in by some fairly large concrete walls too, which should really assist in abating the noise upward instead of outward. So.
Right. Okay. We'll look into that, and then I'll say just submit whatever additional information you can give to your case planner, so I can seriously look into issuing the decision.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mindy, are you gonna? No? You're just available to answer any questions? Okay. Back up. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak in support or in opposition to this application? Okay. Any closing comments, Patrick? That's it. Okay, good. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you for coming. Our next case is variance 2008-033. Location is 1170 Linden Avenue. And the applicant is Jerome Julian. This is an application for a setback variance requesting to legalize an addition with a 5-foot interior setback where 6-foot setback is required. The project also includes a new addition which will comply with the minimum 6-foot setback. Property is located at 1170 Linden Avenue in the R2250 medium-density residential zone, described as Lot 27 of tract number 4554. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments. From Neighborhood Services, they have an open code enforcement case on this property for maintenance and lack of rear yard landscaping requirement. And they wanted to make sure that these existing violations are corrected before or during the approval process. From Fire Prevention, fire sprinklers and permit for the house and garage will be required. From Engineering Section, method of discharge of all on-site drainage shall be approved by the city engineer. Separate permits are required for all work within the public right-of-way. An applicant shall bear all fees necessary for obtaining necessary permits and construction inspections. Applicants should comply with all NPDES requirements, and additional requirements may be required after the initial submittal of final engineering plans for building plans check. And integrated waste management will require you to comply with construction and demolition waste reduction and recycling plans. Okay. Those are all the comments we have. present the case, Mr. Jerome Julian.
Hi, my name is Jerome Julian with Julian & Julian Associates, address 2050 Meridian Avenue, Pasadena, California. Presenting the case for the owner.
Excuse me, Jerome, are you with the designer, or are you the property owner?
I'm the
or-
designer.
Designer, okay, go ahead.
Working with the owner to remodel his existing residence and then add a rear addition to the project. That consists of 2 bedrooms, a master bath, 2 full baths. When we were doing that process, we came across a portion of the existing building that was unpermitted. As we went through the process of trying to legalize the unpermitted process, we found out that because the single-family residence was in a R2 or 2250 zone, the 5-foot setback was not allowed anymore. It required a 6-foot setback. So we're proposing to, as far as remodeling the existing residence, we are not proposing to do any work in that specific area there. So we're proposing to try to get a variance to legalize that portion but maintain the existing setback that the owner's had for years now. And I would point out also on the existing residence, there were 2 additions done to the house. One was legalized and we have permits for it, which was the back portion.
You want to come up here and walk me through your site plan? There's the pointer.
So this right here, the existing residence, including this portion, there's 2 additions that were done. One was legalized, which is the kitchen in the back here, which was okayed with 5-foot setback at the time. That's before the zoning code changed. This portion here, which is shaded in, is the portion that was illegal, and basically we just kept keeping the 5-foot setback in line with the kitchen.
What's the area of that addition?
The area of the addition, I believe, is 167 square feet.
167?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we're proposing is to, since we're not doing any remodeling in this area, I mean, we're proposing to remodel the kitchen, but not any structural portions in this area, to just maintain this existing 5 feet, to keep it with the permitted 5 feet, and then any new addition will be set back to what code is required.
What's the addition at the front?
There is a small addition in the front, which is basically extending out the existing living room.
Okay.
And then there's a porch piece that goes to it. With this design, we're also redesigning the style of it. So this was added on so we can achieve the redesign.
What's the addition at the back going to be?
Well, part of the addition required us to demo the existing 2-car garage, which then we're going to put a new detached 2-car garage in the back with a small workshop next to it. Add the for that if you want. Sure.
I can kind of see. So walk me through your site.
There's also another sheet too that shows. But this is the existing garage that we are demoing to extend the rear addition. This portion right here is the unpermitted portion, and then this is the new 2-car detached garage. So as you can see, we're adding to the back of this, kind of just keeping in line with the existing residence, which required us to take out the garage and put it in the back.
So 3 bedroom, 2 bath,
Correct.
and a laundry.
Correct. Yeah, and this will be the new detached 2-car garage and a small workshop. you want me to go through the findings?
Yes, please.
The practical difficulties of this, as just mentioned, it would be an unnecessary hardship for the owner to tear down a building that he purchased like it. So, and then also having the reduced square footage. So also the 5 feet is adequate if this was in an R1 zone, but since we're in an R2250 zone, the 1 foot additional is required. So we would still be maintaining the 5 feet, which would still be adequate for single-family residence. The owner is willing to permit and bring up to code the unpermitted portion, but again, desires to maintain the square footage that he has had. The granting of this variance will not be detrimental because, again, we're keeping a 5-foot setback. And the owner that will be on the side that's affected is also another single-family residence, which I believe also has the old code of a 5-foot setback also. And that's it.
What's the total square footage of the entire addition?
Once we are completed, the total addition will be 2,107.
That's the addition.
No, that's total.
I'm asking you for the addition.
Okay. Proposed additions, 1,162.
Okay. And as far as landscaping and all that is concerned, you're still okay with?
Yes, according to planning, we still have the adequate proposed landscaping percentages. And again, also to maybe reiterate that comment about the abatement, as you can see, we're proposing to landscape the front and also the middle portions in between the residence and the new detached garage. So that will be a part of the drawings and the scope of this construction.
The reason I'm asking is because I'm going to look at this as a multi-family zone. Although the use is a single family, there's nothing that would keep the property owner from subdividing or having 1 or 2 units in that.
Okay.
Okay.
And the fire sprinklers actually was...
You're going to have to discuss that with fire department.
Okay.
Because being that it's in the multi-family zone, that's why I think they're requiring it.
That's what's triggering it.
And because of the fact that the addition is more than the existing building itself or structure.
I see.
Anything beyond 50%, you will be required to sprinkler or,
I see.
do something with the upgrades.
Okay.
Okay, is there anybody else here who would like to speak in support or in opposition to this application? Seeing none, any other comments, Mr. Julian? That's it? Okay. I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you very much for coming. Our last case is conditional use permit 2008-036. Applicant is Hyun Kang. Property is located at 1451 East Chevy Chase Drive, Suite 110. This is an application requesting to renew a conditional use permit to allow a private educational institution in a portion of an existing building located at 1451 East Chevy Chase Drive, number 110, in the C3 Commercial Service Zone, described as lots 170 and 171 of tract number 5319. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments. From Neighborhood Services, they have an open code enforcement case on this property for operating the business without the required conditional use permit. And I'm assuming it's because the existing conditional use permit expired, right? But they used to have it. Okay. And from fire prevention, they have a few questions that you need to answer, so I'm not going to read all those questions, but you need to give them some clarification on the existing establishment or business. Okay, that's the only comments I have. Let me see. So there is a conditional use permit for the private school, and there's also variance on parking on this one, right?
That is correct.
Did you read the file?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And the conditional use permit expired in January of 2007. Wolfgang. Okay, to present the case, Mr. John Kang. Yun Kang. You're now a John, right?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is John Kang. I'm here to present my case at 1451 East Chevy Chase, Suite 110. This is for a renewal of the conditional use permit. Should I just go through the 4 questions?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Well, why don't you tell me first about what kind of a private educational institution it is, how many,
Sure.
Tell me a little information about your business.
Sure. Basically, we provide service to the community for primary elementary students who wants
So
to...
this is an private elementary school. From what grade to what grade?
Kindergarten, first grade through 6, most of them. There's some few junior high kids that comes in.
From first grade to
6.
6,
Yes.
okay. How many students do you have?
We have, they range from 15 to 20, depending on the day.
You're licensed by the state?
No, we're not licensed. We don't require. We're not a daycare center.
Okay.
Our operation is very limited.
You're a private
Yes.
educational institution.
Right.
So
The student comes after school hour. They don't come during school hour. So they come for tutoring service.
So it's a tutorial.
Yes, exactly.
You're not an elementary school.
No, we're not a school. No.
That's why I'm clarifying, because you're giving me mixed information.
sorry.
I'm going to go through state and other county agency if you tell me you're an elementary school.
No, I'm not.
So
No.
you're a private tutorial.
Yes, exactly. What I meant was we're providing service for elementary level. And
What are your days of operation?
Monday through Friday,
Okay.
we're in full operation after the school is over, which
From
is from
like
3
what
to
time
6.
to what
3
time?
to 6 p.m.
2 to 6 p.m.?
3 to 6.
3 to 6 p.m. Okay, you can continue with your 4 findings.
Okay, sure. The first one, the proposed use will be consistent with the general plan, since the plan recognizes the need for private education facility to augment and complement public education. individual tutorial service is consistent with the neighborhood commercial designation and consistent with rules and regulation and safety community. Second, the proposed facility will be in full operation from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday without any detrimental effect upon surrounding areas or on-street parking. The tutorial service is conducted to a client on a one-to-one basis or small group. The office is outfitted with general office furniture, utilizes literature and other office supplies that in no way affect public health, safety, and environmental or general welfare of the community. Third, the facility provides tutorial service primarily to elementary school children. The facility operates with 1 full-time member and 3 part-time member. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., only 1 staff is present, and thus only 1 parking space is required during such time. At no time this facility requires more than 4 parking spaces. Parents are not normally present during the lesson, and therefore they do not require additional parking space. Because of the limited hours in operation and the fact that the facility functions more as an office space rather than a school facility, consequently the use is substantially less intense than a school and can be reasonably accommodated with less off-street parking without diminishing the right and privilege of surrounding areas. Fourth, the facility is used for limited hours of the day and thus is not intensive use in the area and is properly accommodated. 2 access are available for vehicles to enter or exit the facility parking area from Chief Chase Drive and Canyon Drive. Current existing landscape, utility, and traffic circulations are adequate for the proposed use.
Okay. So you mentioned you have 1 full-time employee and 3 part-time employees. And 1 works from like 10 a.m. to 2, and then the rest 3 to 6 p.m.
Correct.
Okay. As far as the previous conditional use permit is concerned, you're aware of the conditions that they have?
Sure.
That, is there anything or any of the conditions that you cannot meet, or are you still okay with those conditions?
We're okay with those conditions,
You're still okay. Okay. And make sure you monitor when your conditional use permit is going to expire, so you reapply prior to it expiring.
Yeah,
okay?
I apologize. We didn't pay attention to
Our neighborhood services is going to be knocking at your door again if they see this expire.
I also understand that we can give 10 years instead of 5 years.
I'll look into that. Neil.
If you can grant us 10 years, we really appreciate that.
Okay. I will definitely look into that, request. Okay, good. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Since there's nobody else here to speak in support or in opposition, I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and close the public hearing at 10:55 in the morning. Thank you very much for coming.